Hey, it's me, Tim, and I wanted to do a quick update on my upright bass pickup that I just recently made and started selling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go check out that video here, or here, one of these corners, and see what it's all about. I want to thank you all very much for your interest and your information and your questions and your advice and all that stuff. It's great. I did very quickly sell out what I had made, and I'm in a small back order, which maybe by the time this video is out will be fulfilled and shipped, and they'll be back in stock. If not, you can still go to the website and back order. Basically, I'm waiting on a part, but I've been making them like crazy and having a blast doing it, and I want to thank you. But there were a bunch of questions asked in the previous video that I wanted to answer and demonstrate a little bit here. So let's check the list. So one of the questions I get asked the most are, do you need, quote, special strings to use an electromagnetic pickup on your upright bass? And the answer is you need metallic strings, which I don't necessarily consider special. I know that originally when these instruments were invented, they used gut strings, and there are a lot of purists that still use strings made of gut or synthetic gut, often like weed whacker strings, they'll call them, made of some kind of plastic. And of course, those will not work with an electromagnetic pickup. There has to be a metal content in the string for it to work. But I wouldn't call them special because I think most bass players nowadays are using metallic strings of some sort. At least most of the strings for sale have metal content and will work with an electromagnetic pickup. Okay, so real quick, in case you missed the other video and you don't really know what I'm talking about, the big difference between this pickup and most other upright bass pickups is that this is an electromagnet, kind of like you would have on an electric bass or a bass guitar or a guitar, whereas most upright bass pickups are either piezos or microphones or some combination of both of which do tend to sound a little bit more realistic and earthy than a magnetic pickup, and get some more of the characteristics of the instrument, but they are a nightmare in loud live situations. And so what I discovered in a bunch of years of gigging in rock bands with the upright bass is the only way I could do it and play loud and provide the fundamental low-end job of the bass in a rock band situation was to use an electromagnetic pickup. In order to get the volume of the piezo pickup, I had to lose too much of the low end. And so you'll see, like right here, this amplifier is on right here, right behind me, and it's pretty loud, and I can just let go of the bass here, and it's not feeding back. Another question I was asked a bunch about was, will it work on a cello? And as you can see from this image that I'm overlaying here, that the cello is obviously much, much smaller, and no, this pickup will not work on a cello. It's just way too big. So then, of course, the follow-up is, will I make a version for a cello? If there's enough interest, I will consider it. Right now, I've still got my hands full with this, but once I get this under control, that's something I would look into. So I would probably do it in more of like a Kickstarter format and have people pre-order them and then design and build it in a similar fashion. So if that's something you're seriously interested in, let me know in the comments below, and if enough people do, I will go ahead and start a Kickstarter for that. And then the other question that was asked the most was, can you use a bow with this pickup? And I thought, instead of just answering, which the answer is yes, I thought I would demonstrate with my poor attempted bowing. So for the rest of the sound samples in this video, what I'm going to do is play, and I am plugged into this amplifier. I have a pedal board set up, which we're going to mess around with, and I'm also I have a line out signal coming directly from my amplifier to this little Tascam pocket recorder. So I have a clean signal here as well as the room mic, and what you'll be listening to is mostly the signal with just a little bit of room mic to try to emulate what this would sound like in real life as much as possible. So I do have this bow here. I am playing my homemade bass, which is kind of not really designed well for a bow, and I am terrible with the bow, so I'm not even going to make excuses for how bad I am. I'm just going to do my best to show you what this sounds like with the bow. So a lot of the other questions in the discussion around this were getting really into the weeds with technical stuff, which is some of which I know and some of which I admittedly don't know, some of which I found was interesting, some of which I thought was just a little bit kind of whatever. So I'm not going to get into it all, but there's a couple points that were brought up that I did want to mention. One was people talking about the copper around the pipe and how, I don't know if you've ever done this, it's a really cool experiment to do with your kids where you drop a magnet down a copper pipe and it actually goes slowly because of all these things that happen and blah, blah, blah. And yes, I did know about that and I'm aware about that, and that was something I thought about in the design, and it's something that I think, well, you know, sounds there. So, like, you know, it doesn't affect it or it does affect it, but I'm happy with the sound that it's creating, so that's cool. The other thing, on the original pickups that I made, I did two, like this one, which has neodymium magnets on the top, and there was some discussion about placement and stuff, whatever. Proof is in the sounds. And then the other ones are ceramic, and I'm not doing any more with the neodymium. The ones that sold are gone. I'm just going with ceramic because I feel like the pull on the neodymium is a little bit too strong, and it can start getting into this place where it starts to pick up the string and vibrate it a little bit more than maybe we want. Whereas the ceramic, I just think sounds better and seems to work better. Some of the most important and relevant tech talk to discuss is this little blender box that I had built, you can't even see it in the frame, to go on this bass. And what this is this is just a passive indented 500K potentiometer that when it's in the middle, it blends two signals. One side is just one signal, the other side's the other signal, and then any variation in between. And so I built this for people to plug their magnetic pickup into one side and their piezo into the other so they can mix the signals accordingly. Now what happens with this, because of the impedances of the piezo and all these other things that I somewhat understand, somewhat don't understand, being fully honest, the piezo really takes a hit when you blend it and stuff, and it doesn't do everything that it would do if it wasn't going through this passive box. It's really not the best way to do it, but it is a quick, inexpensive, low-tech way for you to mix both, and you do get the sounds and the characteristics of the piezo, just not to their fullest potential and the fullest range. It's probably the best way I can explain it. So I made that. That is something that I'll continue to make available for now until maybe I see if I can find another low-cost, simple solution. But I could envision a world where you just run two signals, right? You run one from your magnet and one from your piezo to the board, and then you could potentially, you know, send the magnet to the low end, into the stage, into the subwoofers and all that stuff, and then just put the piezo up in the horns a little bit and really get that nice clear sound. You know, if you're working a big stage and working in big rooms, and you have a sound crew and a budget and a spare channel for the bass and all that stuff, which is just not necessarily practical for everybody, which is why I built this box. Just use the magnet. Unless you got that kind of budget, then go for it, man. And then the other question I got was about using pedals, and I have to say that that is the best part about using an electromagnetic pickup on your upright bass, is that you can use pedals like all the guitar players and the electric bass players. And so here on my pedal board, I don't have a lot going on these days, but I do have a delay, a little bit of reverb, a compressor, and a distortion. It's a really cool handmade overdrive. And then I have my micro synth, and so I'm going to go ahead and click around and play on those a little bit. And again, you'll be hearing mostly direct in as well as some of the room, and so you can kind of hear some of the things you can do. So here, let's make some noise. So this is just a straight signal. Let's add some compression. hope that answers some of the questions and also demonstrates more of the capabilities of this pickup than I just did in the original video, where I was showing just very clean and dry and baseline audio examples. Today we had a little fun with it, the bow, the pedals, and volume issues and stuff, and really kind of pushing it a little bit. And you see the potential for this instrument in a rock and roll environment with this pickup. So thanks you all very much for watching. I hope I answered all your questions, and if I didn't, just go ahead and ask them, and I'll do my best to either write them up or make another video about this pickup. I'm pretty into it. Like I said in the first video, this is something I've been thinking about and working on and dreaming about for decades. So it's a lot of fun to see it out there finally, and to see people digging it and appreciating it. And I can't wait to start hearing people using these things out there in the real world and seeing what they're up to, because the sky is the limit. All right, thanks a lot and be good. Thank you.